Don't cook tofu the usual way just yet. With just a few eggs and a tomato, you can turn it into a delicious dish that's so tempting that everyone at the table will want to take the first bite. Soft and silky tofu, rich and fragrant eggs, and naturally sweet and tangy tomatoes come together to create an incredibly satisfying flavor. Not only is this dish easy to make, but it also pairs perfectly with a bowl of hot rice or even a simple bowl of noodles. Today, I'll share all the secrets to making it taste as good as possible. Let's get started. First, prepare a block of fresh tofu. Use a knife to cut it lengthwise into slices about 1 centimeter thick. This thickness is very important. If the slices are too thin, the tofu can easily break during cooking. If they are too thick, the seasonings will not penetrate evenly into the center. Next, turn it and make one cut across the width. Then continue cutting it into evenly sized cubes about 1 centimeter wide. This size is visually appealing, easy to eat, and helps the tofu cook evenly while absorbing flavor more effectively. Once all the tofu is cut, transfer it to a large bowl. At this point, don't rush into cooking it yet. Add a little salt, then pour in enough hot water to completely cover the tofu. Many people skip this step, but it is actually a very useful trick often used by experienced home cooks. Gently stir with chopsticks so that every side of the tofu cubes comes into contact with the hot water. The heat helps reduce the characteristic bean-like smell of tofu, making the finished dish more fragrant and enjoyable. Not only that, the hot water also helps firm up the surface of the tofu. As a result, the tofu cubes are less likely to break apart during frying, stir-frying, or braising, allowing them to keep their beautiful shape. Simply soak the tofu like this for a few minutes, and you'll notice a remarkable difference in the final dish. While the tofu is soaking, we will prepare the remaining ingredients and seasonings. Crack 3 eggs into a small bowl. Then use chopsticks to beat them until the yolks and whites are completely combined. Keep stirring for a little longer. Once the eggs are evenly beaten, set them aside for later use. Next, prepare a ripe tomato that has been thoroughly washed. First, remove the outer skin. Many people skip this step, but after cooking, tomato skin tends to separate from the flesh, making the sauce less smooth and affecting the overall eating experience. Removing the skin will help the finished sauce become much smoother, more cohesive, and more visually appealing. Then cut the tomato in half. Next, remove the firm core from the center. This part has a relatively tough texture and contributes very little flavor. Removing it will help create a more uniform texture and a better tasting final dish. Now cut the tomato into large pieces. Then continue by dicing it into small cubes. The smaller the tomato pieces are, the more easily they will release their juices and soften during cooking. This helps create a naturally thick sauce with a beautiful red color and a wonderfully mild, sweet and tangy flavor. Once finished, place the diced tomato into a bowl and set it aside. Next, prepare seafood mushrooms. Use a knife to cut off the root end. Place the mushrooms into a basin. Check for any clusters that are still stuck together and gently separate them. Then look for any long mushroom strands. If some are too long, cut them in half. Mushrooms of a moderate size are easier to pick up, easier to eat, and create a more enjoyable eating experience. Add a little salt. Then add enough water to fully cover the mushrooms. The salt helps remove any remaining dirt from the surface of the mushrooms, while also helping reduce some of their natural aroma if necessary. If there are children in your family, or anyone who does not enjoy the flavor of seafood mushrooms, you can easily substitute them with shiitake mushrooms, button mushrooms, enoki mushrooms, or any other type of mushroom you prefer. Each variety will bring its own unique flavor, but all of them work wonderfully in this dish. After washing, remove the mushrooms and let them drain well. By this time, the tofu has finished soaking. You will notice that the tofu cubes have become slightly firmer on the outside, while still remaining soft and delicate inside. Remove the tofu from the water, drain well, and transfer it to a large bowl. Now, prepare the cornstarch slurry. Add 1 tablespoon of cornstarch to 100 milliliters of water and stir well until completely dissolved. The cornstarch slurry will help the sauce become smooth, glossy, and slightly thickened, allowing it to coat the tofu evenly and making the dish much more flavorful and appetizing. Next, pour all of the beaten eggs into the bowl of tofu. Using chopsticks, gently mix everything together. Make sure each piece of tofu is coated with a thin layer of egg. This egg coating not only makes the tofu more flavorful, but also creates a beautiful golden crust after frying. Once everything is evenly coated, set it aside. Next, heat a pan. Add an appropriate amount of cooking oil. When the oil is hot, add the entire tofu and egg mixture to the pan. At this stage, many people use too little oil or cook over heat that is too low. This is why the egg tends to stick to the pan, fails to develop a beautiful golden color, and ends up less flavorful. To achieve the best result, use a little more oil than usual. At the same time, maintain the oil at a relatively high temperature. The proper temperature allows the egg coating to set quickly, forming a fragrant golden crust around each piece of soft and silky tofu. Continue stirring gently and evenly. Use high heat for frying. As the heat works its magic, the aroma of the eggs begins to spread throughout the kitchen. Gradually, each piece of tofu turns a beautiful golden color. Continue frying until the surface is evenly golden. At this point, the egg coating has become fragrant, rich, and lightly crisp around the edges, while the tofu inside remains soft, smooth, and moist. The contrast between the golden crust and the tender interior is exactly what makes this dish so irresistible. Once done, transfer all of the fried egg-coated tofu to a bowl and set it aside. Next, there is no need to wash the pan. The remaining oil and aromas left in the pan are actually the secret to making the sauce richer and more flavorful. Simply add a little more cooking oil. Then add all of the diced tomatoes. Many people simply cook the tomatoes until they soften and release their juices. But there's a small secret that helps tomatoes break down faster and produce a richer sauce: a pinch of salt. Add 1/4 teaspoon of salt. The salt helps break down the structure of the tomatoes more quickly, allowing them to release their juices and soften faster during cooking. Stir well. Before long, the tomatoes will begin to soften and release an appetizing amount of natural sauce. Continue cooking over medium heat until the tomatoes become soft and juicy, but still retain a little bit of texture. This texture helps the sauce remain smooth while still feeling natural, creating a beautiful bright red color and a wonderfully mild, sweet and tangy flavor. At this point, add 200 milliliters of hot water to the pan. Hot water helps maintain a stable temperature, allowing the tomatoes to continue softening quickly and release their full natural sweetness. As a result, the sauce will become richer, more flavorful, and better blended than if cold water were used. Stir everything well. Next, it's time to season the sauce. Add 1/2 teaspoon of salt to provide the basic level of seasoning. 1/2 teaspoon of black pepper to add a mild spicy aroma and make the dish more appealing. 1 tablespoon of light soy sauce to enhance the savory flavor and add natural umami. 1 tablespoon of oyster sauce to make the sauce richer, more balanced, and more flavorful. Then stir well until all the seasonings are completely combined with the tomatoes. At this stage, the color of the sauce will also begin to look deeper and more appetizing. Continue cooking over high heat until it comes to a boil. Let it cook for about 1 minute. This short cooking time is very important because it allows the tomatoes to fully release their natural sweetness and distinctive aroma. At the same time, it gives all the seasonings enough time to blend together, creating a sauce that is rich, balanced, and full of flavor. Next, add all of the fried egg-coated tofu to the pot. Then add the drained seafood mushrooms. Gently arrange the tofu and mushrooms. Handling them carefully will help the tofu pieces keep their beautiful shape without breaking apart. At the same time, Try to ensure that the tofu, egg coating, and mushrooms are all submerged in the sauce. This allows each ingredient to slowly absorb the rich flavor of the tomato sauce during the simmering process. Then, cover the pot with a lid. Cook over medium-low heat for about 3 to 5 minutes. This amount of time is enough for the seafood mushrooms to absorb the sauce, while the tofu becomes more flavorful, yet still remains soft and silky on the inside. When you lift the lid, an irresistible aroma will immediately fill the kitchen. The fragrance of tomatoes, egg-coated tofu, and mushrooms blends together beautifully, creating a mouth-watering scent that is hard to resist. At this point, gently stir everything once more with a spatula. You will notice that the sauce has thoroughly coated and flavored every ingredient. Finally, turn the heat up to high and bring the sauce back to a gentle boil. Slowly pour in a little of the prepared cornstarch slurry. At the same time, stir gently so the slurry disperses evenly throughout the sauce. In just a moment, the sauce will become smoother, thicker, and more glossy. This small step makes a big difference. It helps the sauce cling evenly to the surface of the tofu, eggs, and mushrooms instead of running down to the bottom of the plate. As a result, every bite becomes richer in flavor and silkier in texture. Finally, sprinkle a little chopped scallion over the top. The heat from the dish will release the fresh aroma of the scallions, making the overall flavor even more balanced and inviting. And just like that, the tomato braised egg tofu is complete. The bright red tomatoes, golden egg coating, and silky tofu pieces are beautifully coated in a light, glossy sauce. Just looking at it is enough to make anyone want to grab a bowl of hot rice immediately. This egg tofu dish is suitable for people of all ages, thanks to its soft texture and well-balanced flavor. The rich and tender tofu is infused with the sweet and tangy tomato sauce, while the seafood mushrooms add a pleasant tender crisp texture, creating a dish that is both delicious and nutritious. The aroma alone is enough to make it difficult for anyone to resist. This dish tastes best when served hot, while the sauce is still smooth, glossy, and full of flavor. You can enjoy it with steamed rice, pour it over noodles, or serve it with steamed buns, all of which are absolutely delicious. The video ends here. If you have any comments, please leave a comment below. If you find the video interesting, please give me a like. Don't forget to share it with your relatives and friends. Remember to subscribe to the channel. Thank you for your support. Goodbye. See you in the next video.